What an exciting World Series going all the way to Game 7. The Blue Jays thought they had it in their grasp, and they lost it. Did the better team win? Mauricio Dubon wins his second Gold Glove, and the Astros and many teams have their work cut out for them this offseason. Let's get started right now.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, and I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heat low in the way, you can't hit it. You know you wanna start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walk it back, looking like we ain't cool then. The game's over, might as well put them back to the bullpen, oh yeah.
Like we always do, we are back to the bullpen. I am H-Town Wheelhouse. He is Mike Stanton. And look, the baseball season has come to an end. 7 games, 7 hard-fought games. I mean, Mike, this is how you want them to go down as a baseball fan. And really, the Blue Jays were 2 outs away from getting their first World Series in 32 years. I know you've been there, done that on both sides of this. But before we get started, tell everybody where they can find you, sir.
Yeah, there's only one place, and that is Mike Stanton 29 on X. We got what he asked for. We wanted Game 7. We got Game 7. We got extra innings in Game 7. So as far as that is concerned, we couldn't really ask for more. And yeah, but this is going to be a long offseason for Hoffman. It's going to be a long offseason for Toronto, just 2 outs away from beating the supposed juggernaut that was the Los Angeles Dodgers. And of all people to hit the tying home run, Miguel Rojas, who hadn't played in a month, who hadn't hit a home run in over a month. And he gets a hanging slider, drives the ball out of the ballpark, and then the Dodgers are able to win it in extras.
And that was the definition of golfing a ball out of the ballpark, because he had full extension. It wasn't like he had his full weight behind it, but when the ball comes fast, it can fly out further. You know, I remember my dad telling us that growing up. Whenever we would be warming up, we would be sitting there going, oh my gosh, I really don't want to face this pitcher. My dad's like, look, the harder he throws, the farther the ball is going to fly.
True.
But just such a fun series. Now, you know, I know a lot of people in Houston were definitely looking for the Blue Jays to win. They were looking for guys like George Springer to get another ring, Miles Straw. I mean, I would love to see Vladdy Jr. get a ring. But, you know, the question is, did the better team win? Because I think on paper, the Blue Jays had the better performing team. They had the better starting. They had the better bullpen, where the Dodgers had fully relied on their starters. The Dodgers offense was not, you know, performing up to snuff or what they could do or were capable of doing. You and I have talked about this, but whether they were the better team on paper or not, at the end of the day, it's who has the most points on the scoreboard, right?
Well, listen, I thought the Toronto Blue Jays outplayed the Dodgers in this series. You know, the Dodgers, the Blue Jays were one run in the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th inning from not even coming back to Toronto if they won that first game in LA, the extra innings game that went 6.5 hours. I think that the Blue Jays outplayed the LA Dodgers, but ultimately it's, you know, who wins Game 7. And, you know, they got the big swing by Rojas, and then they were able to scratch a run across there in extra innings, and that was it. You know, congratulations to the Los Angeles Dodgers. They didn't do it in the manner that I think most people were expecting them to do it, which
Right.
is just kind of walk all over the Blue Jays. Blue Jays showed that they had a very good, very resilient team, and they have nothing to hold their head down about. They just got beat.
Yeah, they did. And when you have guys like Miguel Rojas, I mean, you talked about in your playing past, Mark Lemke and the unsung heroes, but there were some events in this game alone that really caused people in this series. The ball at the base of the fence, was it really wedged under the padding? That got dissected like crazy. You had the multiple hit batsmen. You had almost a bench clearing brawl. I mean,
we had a bench clearing, just not a brawl.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Bench clearing argument. How's that?
Conversation.
Yeah, definitely was not a brawl. But you also had when you look at the way that the runner was tagged out at home for the Blue Jays, the go-ahead run in the ninth, which would have won the game. If he gets a bigger lead, if he runs through or dives head first, he probably makes it. Game is over. I mean, you can dissect this thing to death, but there are a lot of points at which you look where you're like, wow, I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to get 27 outs and you've got to be on top at that end.
Well, game 7, you had to get more than 27. What was it? 30 outs, I think. So, I think what I took away that it was a very hard fought competitive series, especially game 7, the way they came back. I mean, the ironic thing, the Blue Jays were the team that was known at the Cardiac Kids. It had come from behind more than any team in Major League Baseball. And they're the ones that got overtaken by the Dodgers coming back from behind. Here's the real, to me, this was the real takeaway. Yamamoto is amazing. I mean, for him to get 3 wins, for him to pitch in 3 games as a starting, 2 as a starting pitcher, 1 as a reliever, to come back the day after throwing almost 100 pitches and winning game 6, to throw 2 2/3 in the championship game, in the final game, in game 7, and get the win. And don't forget, he also warmed up in game 3. If the game goes 19 innings, he was going to pitch in game 3 also. Absolutely amazing of his desire to want the ball regardless of what the situation is. 2001 World Series.
Yeah.
New York Yankees against the Diamondbacks. We saw Randy Johnson do the same thing. He came back out in game 7 after pitching game 6. I'll tell you what, though, Randy Johnson did not have his best stuff, but as soon as that door opened and we saw the big unit come out, you could almost see the air go out of our hitters. They're just, not this guy again.
Well,
and Yamamoto, his stuff still looked very good. Didn't have the command, but he was still throwing just as hard. He only threw 1 fastball. All the rest was sliders and chain and splits and all that kind of stuff. But he still looked very good. And if it would have been extended, I know Kershaw was warming up in the pen, but he may have very well gone back out there for a 4th inning.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Mike, it looks like we got some new subscribers here. We got Mariners fans that they just subscribed to us.
Thank you very much.
We got some Dodgers fans saying, look, 3-peat next year. The last team to do it, Mike. You were on that team.
I was on that team, yes.
You know all about it. In that 3rd year that y'all won it, that wasn't even your best team.
Oh, no, not anywhere close. The 2000 team, I think we won 87 games in the regular season. But you get into the dance. We talk about it all the time. You get into the dance. You have no idea what's going to happen. We got hot and ended up having the New York Subway Series against the Mets. And we took care of business. And there was a tired old left-handed reliever that actually won 2 games in that World Series.
Wonder. Yeah, Mike Stanton. No, and that's while I'm watching this World Series, I think it's Jake Thunder. Someone's asking, is this one of the most exciting game 7s that we've seen? I mean,
it's right up there. I mean, you had the underdog take the lead with the big swing, the big swings at the beginning of the game, and then you're counting outs. Max Scherzer, the first ballot Hall of Famer, goes 4 1/3. Then you start running the relievers out there. And you got to give credit to the Dodgers. Now, there wasn't a whole lot of relievers that threw in this game. They started running the starting pitchers out there.
Right.
Tyler Glasnow and Blake Snell, and then Yamamoto. But, it was a very exciting back and forth exchange. It was very exciting. There's no doubt about it. Was it the most exciting? I don't know. I mean, that's a conversation for another time. I remember another Game 7 that I was involved in that we lost, and that would be the 1991 World Series that also went extra innings, except that was a dueling shutout.
Yes. So, and when you talk about guys like Randy Johnson going in or Yamamoto going in, there's always those playoff matchups. And that's what each team hopes to depend on. That's what, when the Mariners were hot and everybody thought that the Mariners were going to get to the World Series, their pitching line was huge. You go all the way back, and I want to go all the way back to 1986, the Mets versus the Astros, and that National League Championship Series, where if the Astros go to Game 7, I can't tell you how many times I've heard Keith Hernandez, all those guys on that team say, if we went to Game 7, we knew there was no way we were getting a hit off of Mike Scott.
That was Scotty.
Yeah, because Mike Scott had actually thrown the no-hitter to clinch the division that year in the Astrodome versus the Giants. And so that right there is where I think the rubber meets the road in this series is Hoffman, who has been dependable, gives up a pitch. Everybody's like, why would you throw a meatball over the middle? Well, it was a hanging. It wasn't.
He's not trying to hang it.
He was not trying to hang it, right? But this is going to be interesting to see what happens in the offseason, because we know the Dodgers, what they did last year when they won. What they do, they added more people. I mean, are they going to just keep adding people?
Well, the rumor is the number one candidate for Kyle Tucker, the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Oh my God!
That doesn't sound right to me, though. He doesn't put him in LA on the West Coast. That just doesn't seem
no. I need our Dodgers fans that are listening to chime in on that. What would y'all think about Kyle Tucker, a former Astro? Surely you don't want an Astro on your team, but then again, I mean, hey, you know what? It's kind of like he's only
like the number one offensive free agent on the market. So
he is. So now, did you see the clip of Glasnow and Blake Snell talking after the game in the locker room?
I did not.
Okay, so
once it was over, I turned it off.
Okay, so I actually caught this after like this was like the next day. But they're in the clubhouse being interviewed, and Glasnow and Snell were both on the Rays when they played the Dodgers in 2020. Yeah. And Blake Snell goes, well, if you can't beat them, join them. And I was like, and then some people are like, oh, that's weak. That's embarrassing. I'm like, no, that's actually pretty funny. Because free agency is the name of the game. And, it is open season on free agency. Guys like Michael King turned down his qualifying offer from the Padres. He's a free agent, 30 years old. The guy did have some injury issues, but a year ago in 2024, I believe he pitched like 171 innings. He is a arm that I think is affordable. Like the Astros could go after someone like him. You saw what Max Scherzer did at the end of the season, and you saw Verlander get hot. I mean, Verlander may have another year left in him.
Sure.
He could fit on a team that would do a 6-man rotation like the Astros. But free agency and when players are free agents and it's the off season, do their phones start ringing off the hook right away, or does it take time for that stuff to start happening?
It depends on who you are. It depends on what role you're in. If you're a top free agent, absolutely, it starts ringing immediately. if you're like I was a leverage short relief left-hander.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times those guys were more of a luxury than a necessity, or they weren't the highest on the the list of the pecking order of what you're looking for. Now, luckily, I never had to wait into the new year to get a contract, but there's a lot of guys that do have to do that. So it just really depends. And, the good thing is that the players aren't the one that fields the calls anyways. It's the agents. The agents will reach out to teams. The agents will wait for the teams to call, whatever it is. But it's really an individual situation. And every player has a market. Okay. The problem is you don't know what the market is. You don't know who's going to be willing to jump into your market, and you don't know when that market is going to materialize. So yes, the dirty word in free agency for a large portion of the free agents is patience.
Yeah. So the Astros have until the 5th, I believe, to offer a qualifying offer to Framber Valdez. Which they will, but he also has the option to reject it,
which he will.
Yes. So we have on November 6th, free agency begins. Players can sign with another team. A club, player, and mutual options are decided. Qualifying offers are handed out. Then November 11th through the 13th are the GM meetings. And then you have November 18th, deadline for players to reject the qualifying offer. Protection for Rule 5 draft. Players are added to a team's 40-man. So we've got a lot of things that are going to be happening between now and when we get to the winter meetings, Mike.
So things have changed. It used to be everything would be pushed back. You have the World Series, then you've got a couple weeks before something happens. And then a couple of weeks after that, you have the GM meetings. And then a couple of weeks after that, you have the winter meetings and all. They've moved all that stuff up. Baseball is now a 12-month sport. Yes, the regular season is over with the Dodgers winning Game 7 of the World Series. Major League Baseball wants to keep everyone involved. And so they've spaced things out over the offseason to get things rolling quickly so that, things don't get sour and, you can get into these conversations as soon as the season was over. And the season is over now, and here we are.
Yeah, definitely. Now, one of the cool things is they've announced the Gold Glove winners, and I actually sent Mauricio Dubon a video message, and I worded it like I was the one announcing it for Major League Baseball, and he replied right before we came on. He said that's hilarious. Thank you. It's like, Mauricio Dubon, I'm just here to let you know from the Gold Glove Committee that I know it's not called that you have won your second Gold Glove. Congratulations. And so he sent back, but here are some of our winners. If we look at them right here, we've got the National League Gold Glove winners: Patrick Bailey, Matt Olson, Nico Horner, Ke'Bryan Hayes, who came from the Pirates to the Reds, Mason Wynn. Ian Happ has won his 4th Gold Glove. Pete Crow Armstrong, a generational talent, won his 1st. Tatis Jr., Sanohea from the Marlins, their 1st Gold Glove, Mike, since 2017.
Wow.
And then Logan Webb, definitely some all-star caliber talent in that lineup right there of Gold Glove winners for the National League.
Yeah, a lot of leather being thrown. I know Matt Olson is an outstanding first base, and Ke'Bryan Hayes from just south of where I am, Tomball, Texas.
Exactly. Now we go over to the American League, and there's our guy Mauricio Dubon. For 3 straight years, Mauricio has played every position except for pitcher and catcher. Then you have an outfield that is, left field, Stephen Kwan. Will Stephen Kwan be a Houston Astro? There's a lot of Astros fans who want him. That's why I say that. He is a free agent. And his value's not through the roof. I mean, this guy's won 4 Gold Gloves.
Well, he doesn't have home runs.
Right.
If you don't hit home runs, you're cheap.
There you go. Rafaela and Abreu, both for the Red Sox. Then Bobby Witt Jr. just seems to be a staple at that Gold Glove. It seems like it's between him, Jeremy Pena, and at least one other. And then Dingler from the Tigers had a very good defensive year. Ty France, Marcus Semien, and Michael Garcia, and Max Fried, who's an excellent fielding pitcher. A pretty star-studded group there in the AL.
Yeah, a lot of great defensive plays, a lot of defensive wars that were through the roof. But you got to give credit to Mauricio Dubon, the first 2-time Gold Glove winner at the utility position. They've only been doing it for 3 years, and Doobie has won 2 of those. So congratulations! Yeah. And what a pleasure he is to watch. Everywhere he goes, every position you put him in, he is at least above average. Above average. I think you can say the same thing about Kike Hernandez for the Dodgers. He's one of their best outfielders. He's absolutely one of their best infielders. Mauricio is the same thing for the Houston Astros.
And, Cam Smith was nominated for the Houston Astros in right field, although he didn't win it. It's pretty impressive that he was considered top 3, considering the year before he was playing at Florida State in the College World Series.
And playing third base.
And he made the change in the major leagues and did a phenomenal job out there. So he will be in Houston for many years to come.
And cheaply. That's a big thing for the Astros right now, because with his age, he's got 2 more years before he even gets to become arbitration eligible. And that's when you start making the bigger dollars. So, that's the kind of thing that the Astros and Dana Brown, they're going to be looking at, because we know that the cupboard's pretty bare as far as prospects are concerned for the Astros. So how are they going to make this team better? How are they going to prolong this, the golden age of Astros baseball? They're going to have to do it by spending money. Now, spending money smartly, hopefully, but that's how they're going to have to do it, because the trade market just isn't going to be there, just simply because they don't have the prospects going the other way.
Well, look, here's the deal. If you want to spend money smartly, buy a Back to the Bullpen shirt from Rams Shirts.
Buy 2 or 3.
Right, 2 or 3, because right now we have a coupon code. And for those of y'all that are new listeners, even our Seattle fans, you know what? They'll be like, what's Back to the Bullpen? That's a really cool show that talks about everything baseball. Go to ramshirts.com, order 2 or more, use the code B2B, and you'll get 10% off at checkout. And even though Halloween's over, Mark said he'll throw in a couple freebies for you. Maybe a coaster that has H-Town or something on it. Just something that you can't get anywhere else. But there at ramshirts.com, Mark doesn't just produce our shirts. He produces others and stuff for your business. So if you need something for business promotion, you need some hats, some shirts, he even has a cool embroidery machine, let him know. He can fix you up. So make sure y'all go check that out today. So the Astros got their work cut out for them, Mike. How many pitchers can they go get? And the reason why I say can they go get, because I think they can go out and get more than one. And the reason why I say that is because if the Astros want to win now, they've got to go find the talent that's going to come in now. And Jim Crane almost has to, I'm not saying totally blow up the formula that he's had, but you may have to go out and get someone like a Michael King that will garner like a 5-year, $91 million deal. You can go out and get Merrill Kelly, 37 years old. You can go out and get Zach Eflin. You have a few options coming off of the payrolls of guys like the Orioles and some other names, but like Ranger Suarez, maybe he garners too big of a price. I just don't see Framber Valdez coming back, and that's difficult these days to replace a durable, non-injury pitcher for 178 to 200 innings plus in 2026.
Yeah, that's going to be a big hole. I will be shocked. And not too many things shock me in this sport anymore, but if Framber does come back, we talked about it earlier, the Astros will definitely give him the qualifying offer, because there is compensation for him if he doesn't come back to the Astros. And he's not going to take it, because you know what? He had a good year. He was one of the best left-handers, one of the best pitchers in the American League, and he has been incredibly durable. over his run in the major leagues. So there is big value there. So he's not going to take a 1-year deal, to come back to the Astros. So, and I don't think that that Jim Crane is willing to pony up what it's going to take to bring him back, because it's going to be a sizable contract. To what level? I haven't done that research yet. We will get to that here soon, but it's going to be at least a 5, probably more like a 6-year deal, and it's going to be for big bucks. And we know that Jim Crane does not like to hand out those kind of contracts.
Well, this is what I'm hearing. People that analyze these contracts and players' value, and if people have not looked up Spotrac.com, it's a great website, and all their market values are all estimated values, going with market demands and all that stuff. But I'm hearing comps in comparison for Fromber to a Max Fried type of deal. And a lot of people say, because of what Fromber's been able to do and what he's been involved with, that he's almost seems to be more valuable than Max Fried because of his experience, right? And so that's where you're going.
His experience, his durability.
Exactly.
When you do a comp like that, what that really means is you're not saying he deserves Max Fried's contract. What you're saying is that's where the negotiation should start. Okay. Now, it doesn't have to work out that way, because you have to remember that in a negotiation, when you go to free agency and everyone says, oh, this is the first time a player gets to choose where he wants to go. That's not true. There's got to be a team on the other side that wants you. So, it is it takes two to tango. Now, he's going to have plenty of suitors. There's no doubt about that. And we'll just have to wait and see where the final numbers end up. But it's going to be a sizable contract, to say the least.
No, yeah, definitely. Now, if you look at free agents that are out there, Mike, and these are guys that are, I would say, a lot of them on this chart are pretty affordable. So for those of y'all that are listening, I threw up the top free agents, starting with Jordan Montgomery at the top at 32 years. It says a market value of only 2.6. I think there's some injury issues there, but you've got some guys out there. Zach Eflin, who's only 31. Tyler Mahle, who's 31. I mean, I'm looking at guys that are not 37, 38, but Merrill Kelly, who is I think an affordable option, but at 37, do the Astros want to get into somebody that is that long in the tooth? Now, Justin Verlander on here has a market value of $7.8 million. Can you imagine them getting him for around 9 or 10 and coming out and doing something? I think if they have a 6-man rotation, he works. Ranger Suarez, who I would love the Astros to target, has a market value of $26 million per year. And that is probably going to price the Astros out. But Mike, let me ask you, do you think Jim Crane will? Because he wants to win now. I mean, yeah, he's got to rebuild his farm system, but if you go in free agency, I mean, can we defer? Can we kind of take a playbook, a play out of the playbook of some of these other teams that are deferring these contracts? I mean, at some point, how likely is it for owners to ever change course and totally shift? I don't think I've really seen that.
Well, I mean, Jim Crane has shown that he's not all in giving really long-term deals to pitchers. I mean, the longest term deal was Lance McCullers Jr. It was a 5-year deal. And that has not worked out. And that doesn't leave, it leaves a bitter taste in your mouth when you think about that. So, as far as deferrals, well, that's really up to it's up to the negotiators, up to the agent, up to, the team, whoever's doing the negotiation for Dana Brown, if they can work something out. I personally, with the limited contact I've had with Jim Crane, I don't think he would be really on board with a big deferral. Okay. Adding excess weight down the road.
Right.
Okay. But who knows? I mean, it really depends on who the pitcher is, how successful they've been, how old they are, how much money are you talking about? I mean, there's a lot of different factors that goes into this. So
Right.
I think it could possibly be an option because we have seen a lot of players okay deferrals. The biggest one obviously is Shohei Ohtani. Not going to be another contract like that. That's a mind-blowing deal for the Dodgers, not for Shohei. Shohei, $700 million. Yeah, it ain't worth that. It's worth about 450, which is still a ridiculous amount of money, but it's not 700.
Right.
And Shohei did that for one reason and one reason only, was to help the team do exactly what they did this year, and that's win a World Series.
So, Mike, have the Dodgers ruined baseball?
No. How have they ruined baseball? They're playing completely within the rules. All the contracts that the players have signed, they have not to be signed off just by Major League Baseball. They have to be signed off by the Players Association. The Players Association don't like the deferrals because it kills the market value of the contract. But they're doing everything by the book. So if they want to put that much weight on their future, and listen, the Dodgers were not the juggernaut that everyone thought they were. The Blue Jays were 2 outs away from sending them home as just a league championship team. So, you can't say that they just blew everybody out of the water. They did blow the Brewers out of the water, but that was about it. Heck, there were times in the regular season that you didn't know if they were even going to make the playoffs because of the way the Padres are playing. Yeah,
and the guys on MLB Fox talked about that, how there was one point where things were looking grim for them, and they were talking to one of the players, and Will Smith was just saying that this group of guys, he said, we get a lot of crap for we have free agents and we sign this guy and we have that guy. He said, but at the end of the day, it's about how you build that clubhouse and how you build that culture. And there has been a lot of pride from Houston fans about the way the Astros were able to build from the ground up, the way they were able to have homegrown talent. And the Dodgers kind of did almost the exact opposite, but they actually took the talent they had and they traded it away in a lot of cases.
Sure.
They gave up a lot of talent to bring over Scherzer and Turner for those seasons. And they didn't stay, and they didn't even win.
The Mookie Betts trade.
Yeah, Mookie Betts trade. I mean, so they've given up a lot, but they've gotten a lot in return. And I think too, another thing people have to realize, the market that LA has, not only with their TV deal, but their market alone, is way bigger. The pool's a lot deeper there in LA than it is.
Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of people were talking about. Are they ruining baseball by flexing their financial muscle? But again, this, the NBA, the NFL, you go to a game, unless they're two, evenly matched teams, you can usually pick who's going to win. I mean, I think especially in the NBA. In baseball, you can't. You can't. Anybody can beat anyone else on any given night. You go into Pittsburgh and say, "Oh, we got a three-way. We're going to have a 3-game sweep." Yeah, but you got to face Paul Skeens.
I mean, the Blue Jays were absolutely just right there.
2 outs. 2 outs. Yeah. 2 lousy outs.
So the Astros are losing coaches. Snitker with the Mets, I believe, Troy Snitker, Murphy with the Pirates, which, I mean, he gets to go coach Paul Skeens. That's kind of cool for him. And then Alex Centrone goes to the rival Rangers as the assistant hitting coach. So who they bring in, do they bring in coaches sooner rather than later? Do those positions need to be filled now, or do you just have to have them filled by spring training?
Well, I think you want to make sure they're the right person. So you don't want to make, snap judgments and get the wrong person in. There's going to be interviews. There's going to be a lot of interviews. There's probably going to be, certain candidates will have multiple interviews. interviews. So you want to make sure it's the right person. On the other side, yeah, you want to get them in as quickly as you can without doing something dumb. So there's a very narrow road there that you have to kind of stay on. So, but I don't think, you have to have them by December. You definitely want them you would like to have them in by the new year, but I don't think there's any hurry. It's more about getting the right person for the job than just filling the spot.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's it. And you do still have guys that are around, and Dana Brown, Joe Espada, those guys are gonna make those decisions. And I'm kind of excited to see who it is, who they're gonna bring, if they're gonna bring anybody back, if they're gonna bring anybody up. Is it gonna be a former player? I know. I can tell you when we interviewed Mauricio Dubon over on Locked On Astros, he talked about just Michael Brantley and how valuable he was. I would not be shocked if they've had conversations with Michael Brantley, because his ability not only to be a coach, but to rally guys and to talk to them and know the mentality, and just probably one of the more philosophical and just highly respected hitters of his time. That would be a huge, I think. I mean, I know the Astros fans would love it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, he definitely have marquee, curb appeal. But you don't know if he wants to come in and coach. So there's that side of it too. Like I said, it takes two to tango. That goes for coaches just like it does for free agents. So we'll have to wait and see. But I don't think that there's going to be, unless somebody just blows Dana Brown and Jim Crane away in their interviews, I think this is going to be a little bit more of a process. How long? I don't think it's going to be a crazy long process, but I also don't think it's going to be in the next few days, unless you get one of those guys, like I said, just completely blows you away.
Exactly. Well, you know what? Maybe we'll be blown away this offseason. Maybe Jim Crane will come on back to the bullpen and say, you know what, guys, we're going to sign 3 big free agents.
Interesting.
That would be great. That would be so cool. He can announce it here on the show. We'll give him a platform and everything, right? I'll give him the full screen. We'll just go talk to the people.
Send me to the house. I'm all right.
Sitting down with Papa Crane. No, but seriously, Mike, this has been a good show. I'm sad that the baseball season is over, but you know what? Now all possibilities are on the table, and new Astros are being minted right now. We just don't know who they are.
One day, now you're looking to 2026. And, spring hope's eternal. You never know what's going to happen, so we'll have to see. And we'll be right here to let everybody know what's going on and to break down the moves that are made and aren't made, and to get us ready for spring training. We got to get the countdown. What's the countdown to spring training?
I believe it's 99 days.
Is it? It's 199 days? Okay.
Yeah, I just looked at the clock. Now all the official dates for first, like pitchers and catchers.
It's a little different.
So we will get a countdown going here for sure, because you know what? Every day we're one day closer. So
That's it.
For myself, for Mike, everybody here at Back to the Bullpen, we thank y'all for hanging out with us. Congrats to the back-to-back World Series champs. And you know what, everybody, y'all make sure that you subscribe to our channel. And make sure that you tell everybody to grab Back to the Bullpen. Even go listen to it on your phone. I mean, on Spotify, on Apple, even on iHeartRadio. So I'm H-Town Wheelhouse. We're Back to the Bullpen. Y'all have a good one.
Adios.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, man, I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heat a low in the way, you can't hit it. You know you want to start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walking back, looking like we ain't